Steven Bomb number 3. I kinda sung that. That's a little weird now. Steven Universe recap vlog. Today's episode is Cry for Help. In the episode, we start out with Amethyst and Steven watching The Crying Breakfast Friends, which is probably my least favorite of the reoccurring jokes. I don't really see the appeal, and I'm getting kind of sick of it personally. That's just me, though. It's probably just me and Garnet.
But it's a really good one so far.
Not really.
During their episode, though, Peridot interrupts it, apparently fixing the telecommunications center that was previously destroyed by Slugolite, the fusion of Garnet and Amethyst. They had to travel by Lion because the warpad was destroyed by Slugolite as well, and then Amethyst is all about mixing up with Garnet to create Slugolite once again, but Garnet realizes that Nicki Minaj costs way too much for this show, and so they fuse with Pearl instead, creating Sardonyx, a very egotistical but delightful fusion. Amethyst is really bummed out she didn't get to fuse with Garnet, and it doesn't help that Sardonyx rubs it in so much about how awesome she is and how cool it is to be a fusion. It's pretty forgettable considering that Sardonyx doesn't get to fuse very often, but it is a little mean-spirited. Amethyst feels a little left out and maybe even replaced by Pearl in the eyes of Garnet.
Smash is the word one would use to describe what someone else might do. Proper words used to describe yours truly are powerful! But yes, occasionally, I am known.
After destroying the communications center, they come home to find out that it's actually back, and so they go back to the communications center to destroy it once more.
What's this? An encore performance? Just couldn't get enough of me, could you? Oh!
We get a really cool song by Amethyst.
I see a tower built out of my mistakes, and it all comes crashing down.
And then they come back home with Steven coming up with a plan. What if Steven and Amethyst stake out Peridot and stop her in the middle of the night? Garnet will think Amethyst is cool again and everything will be alright. So they decide to do this, only to find out that it's Pearl rebuilding the communication center the second and now third time. They call out Pearl and Garnet gets pissed, fusing with Amethyst to create Slugolite in a very silent cameo, who destroys the tower, and we end the episode with unresolved tension between Garnet and Pearl. The episode is fantastic. These are the type of episodes I love about Steven Universe, because it's all character-driven. I love character-driven shows, because they're so real and they add so much. Unlike other TV shows, say like Gravity Falls, where a lot of times the characters feel a less emotionally developed, where it seems like they're pawns in a story. Not saying Gravity Falls is bad at all, I love it, and I will be talking about the Tales of Two Stands soon enough. But how this works is just... Pearl and Amethyst are very similar characters, and they're very different at the same exact time. What makes them similar is they're both very dependent and need someone to feel good about themselves. They both clearly needed Rose at certain points, and now that Rose is gone, they've put this responsibility onto Garnet. And we can see this through the fusion. According to Amethyst, it's the only time they ever feel strong, and that makes a lot of sense. I think this is both in a relationship status as well as strength. Obviously, it's strength for the episode, but I think it also speaks a lot about their characters. I don't fault Pearl in this episode. I know a lot of people will probably hate her now, and they've been hating on her for a while, but I think Pearl is probably the most human and relatable of all the gems because of this. She needs someone to feel good. She got a little bit of a high from the whole fusion. She felt really great about being with someone for a little bit, and it's only for a little bit, and she needed it again. She needed that pick-me-up, and she was almost addicted to it, doing whatever she needed to get that high again.
No, we just needed a reason to fuse. I just wanted to share a few more victories with you.
And that's not really bad. I mean, obviously it's bad in a certain way. It's not something that she should have done, and it's probably morally wrong. But it's one of those gray areas where you can totally understand why she's doing it. And if you can't, you might be a sociopath, or maybe you just need to stop and look at the situation again. It's no different than, say, Amethyst going through a tantrum earlier with Reform. And so I think this is a really good character piece. Now, this really highlights what's wrong with Garnet, though. I love Garnet to death, don't get me wrong, and every time I say something negative about anything, everyone jumps through it because everyone has to be black and white, just like Garnet. See, Garnet tends to see things through extremes. She sees black and white, right and wrong, etc., etc. And I feel like a lot of people on Tumblr are very much like that. They only see Pearl for the bad things, or they see Pearl for the good things, but all these characters are gray, except for maybe Garnet, who again seems to be only extremes, while Amethyst is a little bit extreme, but a little bit more gray, and then Pearl, well, obviously they're all on different parts of a spectrum here. And I gotta say, I really love this. Sardonyx was a really cool addition, and at first it took me a little bit to actually like her. When I was expecting something else from her, after actually spending some time with the character, I really do enjoy her. She reminds me a little bit of Columbia from Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I think she's supposed to be kind of a radio show host / TV host, and I really enjoy it a lot. I think she's really cool. I think she represents a lot of what Pearl and Garnet would be fused together, which is just ideal. Someone that's very egotistical, full of themselves. I mean, come on, Garnet knows she's awesome, and then Pearl thinks very highly of herself as well. So we get this very charismatically egotistical character. I'm not a big fan of her Warhammer. I think it's a little under-designed, in my opinion. I think maybe making the fist a little bit more hammerish, or just adding a little bit more detail would have made them look pretty cool. And then the flimsiness of the actual pole makes it feel like it's going to snap at any given point. So I don't know, the Warhammer is probably my least favorite part of her design, but the fact that she can actually twist and turn and she has kind of this magician theme to her just seems awesome. So overall, I really do love this episode a lot. I think it's great, and I'm really stoked to see what tomorrow's episode is and the future episodes of this week. I think we are starting off really strong. I do have one little note. I think it would have been almost better. I don't know what the other plots are, but as far as this episode stands alone, I kind of wish we didn't see Slugolite and Garnet defuse. I'd love to see, I don't know, I think it would have been better if we just ended it there and maybe we had a little bit of struggle of them unfusing, but then again we have the problem of Nicki Minaj being this famous voice, well, not voice actor, she's a famous voice, definitely, and so I think that hurts it a little bit because they can't use Slugolite very often, and I think this was a decision they knew was going to happen, hence why the silent cameo, but I don't know, I kind of wish we would have had a little bit more Slugolite and seen kind of that struggle there, especially since this fusion was born through anger. That's got to be not good for the fusion. I wish we could have spent a little bit more time on that. And I knew as soon as they started joking about how cartoons don't always end happy, the episode was going to end. But otherwise, great episode. I think it's awesome. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys again for tonight's episode. Or tomorrow's, depending on how this went up. I don't know when this went up. Bye!